The 2021 May Virtual Southern Conference. Growing the Business of Your Business, Rick Barrow.
Hi, my name is Kirk Anderson, and in my former role, I was the Director of Coaching Education for the United States Tennis Association. I want to welcome you to the USPTA Southern Division Spring Conference. It's important to learn and apply new information, and you will have an opportunity in the next few days to apply and learn a lot of knowledge from this great array of speakers. Knowledge is power, and you are to be commended for taking the opportunity to control your future and your career. Thank you for being a USPTA member, for your support of the association, and for taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Welcome to the conference again, and enjoy your next few days. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce Rick Barrow. In 1979, he was brought on because of his marketing experience to help Donald Dell promote the Washington Star International Tennis Tournament. Based on his successes, he was also brought in to help with the Volvo Tour, Virginia Slims Tour, Nabisco Tour. He has over 30 years of marketing experience with luxury and resort developments, and tennis is a component of many of those, if not all. He also has experience in promoting baseball, polo, and other luxury brands. So I give you Rick Barrow.
Hello, everybody. We're going to talk today about how to grow the business of your business. First things first, your business is tennis, and the good news is it's growing. According to the USTA, it was up 22% last year, or this year, 44% new players and 40% returning players. All of that should be good news. And as they say, the rising tide lifts all boats, so everybody can find something good to find in there. My focus today is going to be about specifically how to grow your part of the business. And I'm going to really go through things that are applicable to everybody, no matter what size, what budget you have. It's the thought process, it's the reasoning, it's the thinking that sets you up so you can develop your own plans to suit each of your particular needs. Now, the focus really is the most important and the biggest potential area of growth for your business. And since you're in the pay-to-play business, that means we follow the money, and that means we get to memberships. So memberships is by far the most important thing for you to grow. And it's not lessons and clinics, because actually they result from growth. And of course, you know that pro shops are nowhere in terms of money, they're peanuts. So memberships is the whole heap. Now, memberships means a lot. Different things to different people. So let me focus this a little bit more. There are four kinds of clubs that we look at when we talk about this. Number one is the traditional upscale country club. You all know those very well. Number two are what we call the captive clubs. And those are basically traditional country clubs that are within gated communities. So they're private, but you join them because you buy a house, not because your grandfather is part of the club. The third kind of club is what we call the affordable or family club, and that's self-explanatory. And the fourth is the tennis-only club, and it's kind of a compromise choice there because there's no golf, obviously. There's usually no fine dining. Some have a pool, but tennis is the focus. But the things that apply to all four of those are what we're going to talk about today. So each of those categories has to answer, to grow membership, three very tough questions, and they're really simple. Number one, why do people pay for tennis memberships? Number two, how do they choose where they pay and play? And number three, how can you influence their choice? Well, number one, why pay? Think about that. When parks and public courts are free, there's more of them all the time, and they try to add more services all the time. So obviously, the reason people pay for a tennis membership is not just for tennis or just for the exercise. They want something more, and they want something better. Number one, what they want clearly is better tennis. That means better courts, better variety of courts, and it means being around better players and playing with better players. And then it also means a better ambience and better services. So it's a totally different tennis experience. They also want a better social environment and a better social experience. So that means the camaraderie they get from playing with the same people all the time, the new friends they have, the teams they make, the fun they have playing mixed doubles, singles, doubles, whatever. And again, it's from organized competition within the club where there's teams and there's cheering and there's lots of fun and good friendships that come from that. So all of that's part of a social environment that you don't get with a bunch of strangers at a public court. And then third is the identity. or what marketing people call brand association. People want to belong to something. I belong to the Old Court Club. I play at the Forest Hills Club. So when they can see identities of clubs that they relate to and that they aspire to, they're happy to pay more to put that identity to themselves. So the value they place on these three pluses, which is better tennis, better social, and identity, basically is how they judge the value of your membership. And another way to look at the value of membership is cost versus benefits versus satisfaction. It's the same thing. Is my tennis better? Is my social better? Is my self-image better? Those three questions you have to ask for any club, for any kind of a campaign. So the second one, which is how to choose where I play, tell you a brief story. In the 1920s, McGraw-Hill published magazines, and they ran a very famous ad, which was called The Salesman. And the ad pictured a businessman, executive, sitting behind his desk. He was a grim old guy with his hands folded like this, and his body language was go away. Clearly, he was talking to a salesman who just come into his room. And he says to the salesman, I don't know you. I don't know your company. I don't know your reputation. I don't know your product. I don't know what you stand for. I don't know what you can deliver. Now, what did you want to sell me? Well, McGraw-Hill created that to say, you advertise so that the salesman stands for something before he meets the customer. The customer knows you before they come for the actual experience. In the same way, your potential members are thinking about which club to go to. They don't know your club experience. They don't know your facilities. They don't know your operation. They don't know your people. All they know is what they've heard. And what they've heard is from friends, from acquaintances. Maybe they've done a little tour, but they definitely don't know the value of a membership. They may have heard the price, but they don't know how to evaluate it. So how do they choose? Well, it's one word, perception. Now, perception in marketing is sort of the sum of images, impressions, and hearsay. Hearsay being what I've heard is and what they say is. And impressions are formed from all kinds of things. And images, of course, is what does it look like? I've seen pictures. I've seen videos. I know what that place looks like. I drove by it. I've been to a tournament there. Now, think about this. How many people choose where to play and pay without ever playing there? A lot of them, a majority, in fact. And that's how memberships happen. So if perceptions are formed before you meet the people, what can you do to influence that? It's a lot like how you choose a movie. You want to go see a movie, which hopefully we'll all be doing sometime soon. You hear about a movie, you see trailers, you see previews, you read reviews, and you hear from friends who may have gone to see it or friends of friends have gone to see it. And based on that, you decide whether you'll go see the movie or not. So you form your whole perception and your evaluation without ever seeing the movie. It's what you've heard in advance. That's called perception. Now, you can influence people's choice by simply influencing their perception. Here's the big thing for you. Most of you people, I assume, don't have big budgets. You have too much to do. You have not enough time. So the solution for you is not things you can't control and things that you can't do yourself. Here's the thing about perception. You control all of it yourself. And it gives you the ability to recruit and retain members on your own through your own actions. Nobody else is going to do that but you and your staff. Now, if you think about in your own market, the different kind of clubs I've talked about, the traditional country club, the gated community, the affordable club, the tennis club, you know all those places and you already have perceptions of all of them. May not be accurate, may not be true, but you have perceptions. They could be detailed or they could be vague, but you have them. So this is going on in your mind as well as in all your potential members' minds. They think they know something about it, but maybe they don't. Luckily, as I said, perception is in your control. Remember, perception is impressions, images, and hearsay. This is how you can change perception of your club, which changes everything that follows. There's three crucial strategies you need to follow. One is called the membership promise, and I'll come back to that. One is called the membership journey, which I'll come to. And the third is called the membership experience. And that's what your members actually go through day to day at your club. That's the reality that perception is based on ultimately. So if we work backwards from that, let's think about the experience that your members have at your club. It starts with their arrival. How do they come to the club, to the tennis club? Is there an identity that's clear that says, I'm here and I'm proud to be here and what a nice place? Do they have a place to park? Is there an entry that identifies this? I know a very popular club where the golfers all come in the main entrance and they pull up in front of the main clubhouse, and there's golf carts and special parking places, and you can see the first tee as you park your car. The tennis players come in the back way on the other side of the club on a gravel road into a dirt parking lot. There's no signs, there's no identity, but there's the chain link fence that defines the courts. And that's their sense of arrival. When people come to the tennis clubhouse, the first thing to see again is the exterior, which is the image. And what your clubhouse looks like says a lot about what your club stands for. Is it classy? Is it old? Is it run down? Is it modern? What's your impression? At the same way, the observation or seating area outside the tennis clubhouse, are there people there enjoying it? Are they having fun? Is it social, or is there nobody around because there's no place to sit? The interiors of tennis clubhouses are these days don't even count because nobody spends any time there anyway. And locker rooms are wonderful, but not that many clubs have their own locker rooms, so that's kind of unimportant as well. Pro shops have become sort of like dinosaurs. A lot of clubs don't even bother with them anymore. A lot of them have gone to a window where that's where the members turn in their rackets for stringing and grips and to buy balls. Self-service refreshments is much preferred to anything else. So it turns out it's not the pro shop or the interior that matters, it's the service that derived from that. So do you have stringing? Do you have grips? Is that happen fast? And is it cheap? Is it good? Do you have a place to clean shoes? I play on clay courts. I'm not allowed back in my house until I clean my shoes. When our shoe cleaning thing at the club breaks, we all are in trouble. Free towels is a huge thing. Again, it's an impression that people get. Am I getting real service here? Why don't I get free towels? We're sweating our butts off all summer long. Why don't we get free towels? Really important is a visible, engaged staff. And by that, I mean they have some kind of a uniform, whether it's just shorts and a club t-shirt, but they all, you know who they are, you know their staff, and they're out there. I've been to clubs where the pro goes in the clubhouse, the staff stays in the clubhouse, they come out after we're done playing, and they may work on the course, but we're leaving. We didn't see any staff. We didn't have any staff. We had no perception of service. Compare that to what five-star hotels do with staff standing around everywhere. Again, these are people like interns and low-paid people. These are not tennis pros standing around. But you do need to have a visible and engaged pro as opposed to the kind of pros that sit in their office and come out for lessons. The more the pro is out there talking to the members and knows their names and knows their experiences, the better off everybody is. And I think you all know that, so I'm not going to dwell on that. The condition of the courts that people experience every day. Interesting thing. I'm sure you all know the Cliff Drysdale companies and what they do. They have one unique philosophy. When they manage clubs, and they can do it from the start, they throw out all the chain link, no chain link fences around the courts. They use a system they call columns and nets, where they really build these architectural columns and they hold up these dark black nets that go floor to ceiling, if you will. And it changes the whole look and the ambience of the place. Works exactly the same, but instead of feeling like you're in a public playground downtown somewhere, you feel like you're in a special place. And that little thing, which I think is cheaper than chain link fences, makes a big difference. And when visiting people come there, they notice the difference, they comment on it, and they say, somebody went the extra mile and did the extra thing to make this place look better. Programs are also a way that membership experience can change a lot. And again, it's not about how successful the programs are, it's about how visible they are. People want to feel like there's something going on at the club. There's lots of opportunities. Even if they don't use them, they still want to feel they're there. So the visibility of programs is almost more important than the attendance. Again, these are all things that you know very well, but this is what your members see every day. It's what they rate in their minds. It's what they talk about. And then anytime somebody visits your club, that's the same experience that they talk about and rate. And the simple thing about this is that happy members are your best salesmen. And I'm going to come back to that more later. The second thing I talked about was the membership journey. And that's really easy. Here I am. I'm interested. Now what? So is there a quick and easy way that somebody who's interested in being a member can contact you with a push of a button? Is that set up? Is that ready to go? Is there somebody ready to listen to that and respond? Because with a quick contact, you also need a quick response. The third thing is, how quick to engage are you in this process? Somebody says, I'm interested, I'd like to know more. Right away, they should be invited to the club, whether it's lunch and a tour, whether it's coffee with the pro, whether it's a try and buy, come play 3 times and then decide, whatever, the sooner you can engage them in the experience, the more that journey happens. What this is, it's really simple. They go from interested to invested. And then once they're invested and they're a member, it's really a shame to see how people join clubs and never meet anybody and have a hard time getting somebody to play with. And they soon lose interest because they're not engaged. So you got to have some way in your club to make all new members instantly part of the whole gang. So people know their name, know who they are, and they're playing tennis, not just watching other people playing tennis. You control all of this 100%. You control the journey to membership 100%. You control the experience 100%. The first thing that happens is, as I said, it's called the membership promise. Now, this is the perception you want people to know about you. In marketing terms, this is your brand and your brand message. It's the values you stand for. Maybe, are you a family club? Are you a all seasons club? Are you the prestige club? Whatever the values you have, that's what you're talking about. And part of this is also whatever offer is you're making. Every club, every offer, every marketer has what they call their USP, their unique selling proposition. It's something that you have that not everybody has. May not be just you, but it's fairly unique in the way you handle it. That could be, you have so many courts, there's no waiting time. You have the only indoor weatherproof courts in town. Whatever it is that you have, you find that, and that's what you sell. Now, there's lots of ways to do that, but you have to have something. You can't just say all the time, me too, me too, me too. The other part of this is the perception you want people to know about you is basically, what do you look like? What does the tennis club look like? What do the people who belong to the tennis club look like? Are they old? Are they round? Are they tennis players, or are they social people? This is ultimately gets to be diversity as well, but it's basically just, I want an image of that club. What does that club look like? And then there's a funny thing. It's called, what do you sound like? We all learn from sound before we learn any other way. And sound is the best way in the world to change somebody's feeling about something. So say to yourself, what's the soundtrack of your tennis club? Are you boomer rock and roll? Are you Disney tunes? Are you show tunes? Are you Tommy Dorsey band? I don't know what, but whatever your soundtrack is, that's part of how people should perceive you. It sort of says the level of fun and the attitude you have towards fun. I don't literally mean you play music while they're playing tennis, but I think you get the idea. The last question is, what's it like to play here, to belong here? Is it really a friendly club? Is it a cutthroat competition club? Is it really serious tennis players, or do people just play for fun? I don't know the answers to that. You know the answers to that. But the audience out there needs to have a feeling for that. What do you look like? What do you sound like? What's it like to play here? What's it like to belong here? All of that is what you show to your market. That is the perception of you want to show to your market. Again, you control all of that. And it's not about money. You control it through your website. You control it through your social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, yes, and also YouTube. And you can utilize all of that because your kids can all do it. All you need is a phone. And a phone can take pictures all day long, and a phone can take videos all day long. And you can add soundtracks to your videos with your phone. And that's the daily content you put on your social media all the time. Putting up fresh content every day on your social media is kind of like telling your wife every day you love her. There's no downside to it, and you come off a lot better if you stay with it. Content is as simple as a picture of who was playing on court 3 today, what happened with the doubles team, whatever happens at the club that day, photographs and comments. People love to see that and read about that. And again, it talks about the personality of your club. And I'm not there, but I'm getting the whole thing through my Facebook feed. So is the rest of the world. That's how you put out your perception, put out your image there, and it costs you next to nothing. And by the way, if you really want to have better controlled photographs and better quality photographs, find a photographer in your market who likes to play tennis. That's an easy swap to make, and it's the best one you'll ever do. And it pays off in dividends with what all your social media looks like. The final thing, of course, is paid media. I'm assuming that most of you guys have no budgets and not enough time to do it anyway. Paid media is really unimportant in this because we're talking about perception. We're not talking about selling stuff over the phone. So we're not a sales operation. We're a image operation, if you will. And so I wouldn't worry about it. Everything else I just told you about is basically free. Now, when you are showing the market a new perception of you, you are doing marketing. And you can't do marketing unless you know your brand and you know your image and you know your message, which I assume you're all going to know that. And you know the promise you want to make. Let me just give you one warning. Nothing is worse for a bad product than good marketing. It just means everybody finds out how bad you are sooner. So don't try any of this stuff until you've got your act together on the marketing branding side. And that's really easy to find out how to do that. There's thousands of ways you can go online and look that up, but it's really simple. It's just images, it's messages, and it's creating hearsay. When they say follows from we say, you win. When people talk about you the way you want them to talk about you, you're winning, and they will, because they don't have anybody else to tell them anything that's different. Now, this all comes down to every marketing campaign has to answer 4 critical but very simple questions. And I'm going to repeat them a couple of times. Here's the first one. Who do you want to talk to? Number 2, what do you want them to know? Number 3, what do you want them to do once they know it? And number 4 is, what do you do if it works? So let me go with that again. Who do you want to talk to? That obviously is your target market. Who are they? Where are they? How do I reach them? You have to know that and have some idea of that. Second question is, what do you want them to know? Well, that's your message. That's what your brand stands for. That's what you're promising them, and it's what your offer is, what your USP is, your unique selling proposition. And number 3, what do you want them to do once they know it? Well, you have to remember to ask. So if you want them to come by the club because there's an open house next Wednesday, that's what you want them to do. If you want them to go to your website and click on here, that's what you want to ask them to do. But you can't forget to ask them to do something once they know what you've been trying to tell them. And the 4th thing is plan for success. You don't want to run a campaign or be pushing for people to join you the day that construction starts on the entrance drive or the day you resurface in courts. I mean, this is all the obvious stuff, but a lot of people run campaigns which work and they can't handle their success and they fail. Everybody comes out and says, I want to know more, and they don't have time to talk to them. So, you may only do something like this 3 or 4 times a year, but you're prepared to spend your energy on that at that point and not just do a little bit every day, do really good things fewer times, you'll see more success. Those 4 questions. Who do you want to talk to? What do you want them to know? What do you want them to do once they know it? What will you do if it works? If you can answer those, you've got a marketing plan and you're ready to go. So far, I've been talking about things that you can do yourself, that you control, and that's perception. And that's what happens at your club. It's what happens when somebody has an interest in your club. It's what happens when they join, what happens after they join, and how they get treated. All of that, you guys control 100%. You don't need the club's board of directors. You don't need membership committee. Nobody has to tell you to do that because you know how to do it yourself, because it's not hard. It's just doing it. Now, I would not leave you without free marketing tips, because that's what you're supposed to do. So I'll tell you, the number 1 marketing tip I can give you is referrals. I'm continually amazed at clubs that don't pursue referrals. This is the low-hanging fruit. Every member wants to have his friends join his club and be a member too. It is so easy. People don't ask for it, or they forget. Nobody does stuff for free just out of their good heart. So what you do is you find a way to reward the member and his friend who joins. Every referral gets rewarded. They don't get a discounted membership. They don't get a discounted fee. You take things like lessons. If your friend joins, you both get X free lessons together. Or you take what's really simple, food and beverage. If your friend joins, you and he both are going to share a $100 credit of food and beverage over the next 6 months. That costs the club nothing. Nothing, because it's money that wasn't going to be spent anyway. But now they've got 2 people in there using up their F&B and getting in the habit of using F&B at the club. And guess what they're doing? They're building a social relationship, and they're seeing other people, meeting other people, and it builds from there. So you reward them both, and you get a lot of referrals. It's fun. It's not mercenary. Everybody wins. Everybody enjoys it. I can't believe more clubs don't do this. Number 2, you do high-profile promotions. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You get a name pro, a name tennis person to come to your club for a weekend exhibition. And it's not a brilliant idea. It's not a new idea. But guess what? If you're the only one doing it, you're the one who gets known for it. I've seen clubs turned around by a weekend with Andy Roddick. He's a fun guy. Everybody knows him. He's solid American. He's a Grand Slam winner. He's got a beautiful wife, and he does a great show. And people talk about Andy Roddick's visit for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, oh, well, you're the club that had Andy Roddick. Suddenly you went from nowhere, never heard of you, to the club that had Andy Roddick. It's simple stuff like this that gets you a lot of marks up on the ladder. Big ticket partners, a really easy way to go that people just don't think about. Here's a very easy example of what I've done with a lot of different clubs. You go to home builders in the market. Here's the thing. People go to gated communities and they spend a lot more for their home than they would otherwise, but they get built in the country club, right? They love having that. They never joined a country club probably before. Now they get one automatically because of where they live. It's built into the price of the homes, but they're fine with that. They don't really think about that, don't care about it. So now you go to builders in your market who maybe build 25, 30, 50 homes in the community. It's too small to have any amenities. It's too small to have even a pool, most likely, not to mention tennis courts and a golf course. But those builders are selling the same kind of houses that are sold in the gated communities. How do they compete? You offer them a full club membership. They put it in the price of the home. They pay you full price. They pay you the initiation fee. They pay you the first year's dues. They just fold it in the price of the house. The people get it when they buy the house. They don't care that it's in there. It's no more than an expensive refrigerator. And what happens is, and it actually costs them maybe $20 a month because it's in their mortgage. So there's no cash out to join a club after you just bought a home. It comes with the home. The builder loves the competitive edge. He can choose to subsidize part or all of it if he wants to. The people are very, very happy. And suddenly your club is associated with the finest homes in the market. So people are saying, I joined this club because I bought this house, and the builder's been promoting you as a very desirable asset. The people who get the membership are very happy with it. And suddenly a membership at your club is something that a lot of people wish they had. And the home builders love it. Whether they're building one custom home or they're building 25 homes, you will see them come back and back and back. I've seen it. I've done it. It really does work. If you're near water, if you have yachts and marinas around you, the guys who sell really expensive yachts have to also sell a slip, because there's no point selling a guy a yacht. He can't park somewhere. So they work with the marinas and the slip owners all the time. Now, if a guy buys a $500,000 yacht and he keeps it here and he comes down from New York in the winter and he's here for boating in the summertime, then there's his yacht. What else does he like to do? He likes to go play golf. He likes to go play tennis. He likes to go to a pool. Well, the boat doesn't have that and the marina doesn't have that. But now the yacht guy and the marina guy go together and say, we're including a country club membership in your purchase. The guy goes, it's peanuts. I'll take it. No problem. And you're selling memberships suddenly to just the kind of people you want. And it's being sold and you get paid at closing. All these ideas, you get paid at closing. You get your money up front. It's cost you nothing to do this. They promote it for you. They make the membership a big deal and you win. Things like charities, making a club membership, the lottery prize for a charity is huge. The publicity is great. I'll give you a quick example. I played at a tournament about a month ago up in Pinehurst, and I played mixed doubles with a lady who turned out to be Arthur Ashe's first cousin. She says, where are you from? She says, oh, that's where Arthur learned to play. He used to go to that town all the time in the summer, and he learned to play in Dr. So-and-so's court in his backyard. Son of a gun, I never knew that. I went, I found it. There it is. So we're going to do a promotion for underprivileged kids to come learn where Arthur Ashe and also Althea Gibson learned to play tennis in this community. And the country club is going to be the sponsor of it. So it's a lot of goodwill. It's tennis oriented. It's a nice thing to be tied to. It costs you nothing. And once again, you've got a nice brand association. That's it in a nutshell, guys. Ask me some questions.
Wow, Rick, this is awesome. Well, you put a lot of stuff out here for us, and I love taking notes of a lot of things you've said. And I'm looking, I don't have any questions as of yet,
Okay.
But I'm going to mention something to you that I heard from Kim Bastable, and it kind of goes along with something you were talking about earlier. And she is now going to be the head of the professional tennis management program at University of Florida. And she spoke about ways to market and not spend a fortune. And you've shown us a lot of things on this, and I think you'll enjoy this. She mentioned that a hotel, almost a motel out in California, was getting higher ratings than the Intercontinental and the Four Seasons and such. And one of the things they did was they had a popsicle line, and it was at the pool. You pick up this white phone and press the button, and they answer, and they said, "How many would you like?" And a guy would come out kind of looking like the Good Humor Man, wearing his white jacket and a bow tie and a silver tray, and he'd bring popsicles to the people out at the pool. And they had about 3 or 4 things like that, and it just went over amazingly. And it was not expensive. Obviously, popsicles are cheap, but that just was a huge hit with everybody. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing.
I love that. I was thinking tequila shots when you said it, but I love the idea.
Okay. Yeah. That's it was. I think we're going for the kids, because if we make the kids happy, we kind of have the parents happy, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is the key to everything. If you get kids, you bring the parents, and the parents become players, and you get the whole family. So, anytime you can focus on kids, I think it's spectacular.
Pat, I'll piggyback my question on that. And the example is that there was a popsicle shop that opened up in my area, and it was somebody who lived in this community. And he had, great flavors, creative flavors. At the beginning, he was always there greeting customers, and it was just a terrific experience. But eventually, he stopped being around. His popsicles, you could see, were smaller than they had been in the past. And where they would rotate flavors from season to season, they stopped doing that. All that to say is that there was a slide in the quality. And I know that, businesses can often offer high quality at the outset. But my question is, how can you prevent a sliding in quality over time, or a kind of casualness from creeping in and alienating customers?
Well, if you're a big corporation, you have what's called the brand principles and the brand attributes. And they're like 20 things you stand for that will never change. It's about refunds. It's about customer interaction. All of those things are pretty much the brand DNA, if you will. And for smaller companies, that usually means, as you saw, it's the owner who does it. Then he gets tired, he gets worn out, and he hires 3 kids to do it, and they don't have the same fever for that. So there's really almost no way to do that unless you cast the rules in concrete and make sure. I mean, McDonald's, perfect example. McDonald's quality does not change from place to place, from week to week, because they have rigid rules about how things are done. And that's pretty much what you have to do, because anytime you put people in the mix, and people are fallible, you're at risk. So you have to have rules. That's what it boils down to. It's for example, I've seen this at tennis clubs as a good example. There's one club we go to play in tournaments, and after every game that we do changeovers, they come in and they're brushing stuff, and they're cleaning the lines, and they're running around, and in 30 seconds they've improved the look of the court and the feel of the court. It's not a big deal, but boy, we all notice it. And we all talk about that place. They're just on top of things all the time. Now, they could be having the nets 3 inches low for all we know, but we're looking for the eye candy, people who run around doing things for us. It's stuff like that that people will notice, and maybe they won't notice your popsicles are smaller.
Terrific. Thanks.
I'll ask you one other question, Rick, because you've given us a lot here, and like Danny Tarpley says, please send it in an email. Well, I left a note that I take notes from this. I'll have to go back and watch again. I couldn't keep up with multiple things going on, but I'll put it in our one good idea section of our upcoming newsletter. And that's a good way to kind of highlight the things that we think are the real takeaways. But sure, if you're talking to us and trying to give us, like, okay, the one big thing, the one thing you really have to do you have something that you can target, or is it kind of more of the conglomerate of everything?
No, I know. I would say understand what perception is and what that means to you, because you can control it. That's the key thing. You control the perception of your club through all those areas and avenues I was talking about. But it doesn't take budget, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It just takes understanding, and then it means stay with it. You know, back to the popsicle stand. If that guy had stayed there and stayed on top of it, your perception would never have changed. He controlled that, and he let control go. And I mean, I can't imagine that if I'm running a tennis club as a pro, as a director of tennis or whatever, that would be so important to me that I control the image and the perception of the membership experience and outside. And it's really nothing but just staying on top of it. You know, it's not letting some kid in the membership office put up images of tennis players for your club that are, you know, yabbos who don't play tennis well. I mean, it's just things like that. You just don't want anybody else controlling what your image is. And since it happens on your grounds, you're in control of it.
Yeah, great point. Thank you. And you mentioned McDonald's earlier, and I flashed in my mind when we're talking the perception of Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's.
Yeah.
And, you know, Chick-fil-A definitely has, you think it's so clean and all their people look so clean and impressive looking. And McDonald's, you might get somebody with tattoos and 4 earrings and who knows what. And that doesn't mean it's not clean, but the perception is certainly different.
Well, and think about how Chick-fil-A did that. They talked that game early on, and it's when we say becomes they say. Everything they said, that's all people heard, and they just kept hearing Chick-fil-A. So then they'd say, well, I heard they're really clean. Well, they heard it from Chick-fil-A, but they forget that. Before you know it, everybody says Chick-fil-A is really clean. And that's how it happens. That's how we say becomes they say, and you control hearsay.
Oh, that's nice. All right. I don't see any. Wait, no, I do not see any other questions. So okay. I think this is a great time for us to end, Rick. We all so appreciate. We were so fortunate to have you join us today, and
my pleasure.
It has just been amazing. So thank you so much for. Oh wait, I have one more thing here. A last thing, because we have about 2 minutes. Do you have any advice on how to handle banning a player from a facility that's harassing people?
Oh,
that's an interesting one.
Well, unfortunately, it's a legal question.
Yeah.
And I've been there when people have done that. I've seen guys being asked to leave because they're wearing wife beater shirts instead of the appropriate attire, or they're wearing the wrong shoes. And they go, I'm a member, I'm allowed to be here, you can't tell me that. And then they point to, again, it's all about having rules, and very specific rules everybody buys into. And you just point to the rules and say, that's it. That's the rule. There's no ifs about it. Otherwise, you're into interpretation and discretion. And that's just opening up all kinds of problems these days, because we're nothing else if not a litigious society. So the rules are your only protection. Thanks.